Please don't leave without subscribing to this channel and also hit that bell icon to receive all notifications first. और अगर आपको नहीं भी अच्छा लगा तब भी प्लीज़ एक लाइक छोड़ जाना ताकि हमारे को मोटिवेशन मिले और हम आपके लिए ऐसे वीडियोस ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा बना सकें. Thanks guys for watching. The cabin of the all-new Fronx. I'm sure you've already seen this cabin and these interiors before in a lot of videos because this car has been showcased for quite a lot since the Auto Expo. But again, I'll give you a revision course. How is it different to the Baleno? Well, you of course get a different color scheme over here. You get this very dark brown, or you can call it burgundy, whichever color you want to call it. That's the big difference. But apart from that, it's exactly the same scheme of things that you get on the Baleno, and you get the exact same features as well. So you get the same cruise control, same HUD, same bird's eye view camera, ESP, and of course automatic headlamps there as well. And in the base version gets this climate control feature. So those are nice things. Now the positives, there are quite a lot of positives. Seat comfort is generally very good on this car, and Maruti Suzuki seems to really make very nice seats. The cushioning, the padding, support for your lower back, these bolsters, everything adds up. And of course you also get this small box away where you can keep these small water bottles, and just about they fit over there and you can easily lock it up. And of course the top bins are large enough to house those big 1 liter bottles. Now there are a couple of areas where I think Maruti Suzuki should have changed a few things. The side mirrors in particular are still very small. They're just the ones on the Baleno, so that's a feedback that I'll have to give them, that the side mirrors could have been changed. That's one thing. Second thing is that they should have given you cool front seats, because this is going to compete in a segment where rivals like the Nexon, the Kia Sonet are offering you cool front seats. So they should have offered you cool front seats. And the switch gear over here, the buttons over here for the power windows, they've been around for the last 2 decades, I think. Since the Swift came out in 2005, these power window buttons haven't been changed. So I think they should have changed this as well to just give you a slightly different feeling compared to the hatchback version, because this is the SUV and this is going to sell against very well established rivals. So I think these are few changes because they've done a great job. Maruti Suzuki has done a great job with the looks on the outside. I think these small changes on the inside would have really helped and given a big boost to the overall feel as well as the ambience of the cabin. Well, so I'm in the front seats now of the Hyundai Venue, the updated Venue, and I have to say that this car already had very plush interiors in terms of the quality, in terms of the build and the plastic materials. Everything was very good, and even this one is quite good. I think it's the best car in terms of the overall fit and finish inside the cabin, and it just feels very plush and nice to sit inside this car. The big difference of course now is that you get this beige color along with the black. Earlier it was all black, which made the cabin look and feel a little small. The seat fabric also is now in beige, so you definitely feel like it's a hairy place to be. Definitely gives you that sense of hairiness to the cabin. The other big change of course is that you get a lot of features now, some additional features which really make it feel very good. For example, the front seat now is electrically adjusted, which is great. You also get AC air purifier rather over here, which is very good with the AQI meter, and of course you get completely digital gauges now, which really look and feel very cool. I'll take the camera from my camera person now and show it to you. And over here you can see these gauges have been carried over from the, or borrowed rather, from the Carens, and they look really cool and definitely add a sense of relative poshness to the cabin. This touchscreen also is very good. It's always been a good touchscreen to operate, and this one again, it's got everything in it: maps, connected apps, great technology, Apple CarPlay and Auto, Valley mode, climate control you can use from here, and of course a lot of other features which really makes this car stand out from a sea of other cars out there. The front end of the cabin definitely deserves a very strong score of 10 out of 10. Well, so what is Boodmo? Well, I'm sure by now all of you are aware that Boodmo are the online expert when it comes to spare parts, and the best point is that they have the spare parts for all vehicles available in India. So even if your car is out of production now, maybe you have a large generation model, even then they have the spare part available. They have the entire catalog, and the best point is that they have the same spare part from a host of different component makers, which gives you great flexibility in the pricing overall. So check them out today. Check out the app. It's available both for iOS as well as Android devices, and also check out the website for the latest schemes as well as offers. Well, so here I'm now in the back seat of the new Maruti Suzuki Fronx. Now, as I said in my intro, knee room and headroom is generally good, and this is a very comfortable car. So you get plenty of place over here. 3 occupants can easily sit because it's quite nice and wide, and there's genuinely good seat comfort because the seat cushioning is quite good. So no issues whatsoever in that department. But what you will like to have had in this car is the fact that you would have really preferred to have a central armrest over here, because this car competes with the likes of the Nexon, the Sonnet, as well as its own sibling, the Brezza. So all those cars have an armrest. That would have really been a big positive, but I think you have to still manage to live without it, because you can appreciate the space that Maruti Suzuki has offered. You get a USB old school and USB Type C, small place over here to keep your cell phone, and of course the obligatory AC vents at the back, and the windows also are nice and large, so you definitely get a sense of airiness inside this cabin. Anyways, I'll give it a good score of 9 out of 10. Well, so let's quickly talk about the boot of this car. Will this boot be enough to carry all the luggage when your mother-in-law comes in? Definitely. It's quite a big and substantial boot. It's not in the same league as the Nexon, because that has 350 litres, or either even the Brezza, because this is slightly behind the Brezza as well. But in isolation, it's quite good, and at par with some other cars. You can easily load in 3 big bags of this size, and maybe 4th will also squeeze in, and 2 large pieces of suitcase will easily accommodate. Of course, there's a big sill, so you have to use your back and put those things in and out. But in honesty, I think for the shape and size of this car, the boot is more than respectable. Well, I'm on the back seat now of the Hyundai Venue. Now, in terms of the knee room, it is at par with its other rivals in this segment. It's definitely ahead of the Kia Sonet, which really is the worst car for sheer space in the back. And at par with other rivals, you of course get AC vents at the back. You also get an AQI meter, and you of course, this is with the air purifier, and you also get 2 USB Type-C charging points. So that's something which is good about this car. Base seats definitely make the cabin feel a little more airier than it is. And now the new thing is that you can adjust the backrest angle over here, so you can recline it a little bit further, and that makes you feel like inside a much roomier car than it already is. So that is something which is new. Also, what is new is that you can put your seat belt over here in this area, and that's something very good and thoughtful, because sometimes when you open up the back from here, the seat belt tends to go right behind it. So when you hook it up over there, it won't go into that area, and it'll become less cumbersome. Overall, huge improvement, and I think the seats themselves are quite comfortable, so no reasons to complain about the back seat anymore of the Hyundai Venue. Now let's quickly check the boot and then drive this car around and take it out for a spin. Well, so let's quickly check the boot on this car. The boot is 350 litres officially, and it's quite nice and square, well designed as well. You can drop the backrest of the back seats down. There's a bit of a sill, but it's not too much, so you can easily heave in those big bags and boxes without any issue whatsoever. And if your mother-in-law is coming from the hills, she wants to stay with you for 15 days, she gets 2 big bags, then the boot is quite sufficient. If of course she gets more stuff and she wants to stay for 1 full month, you'll have to ask her to get an Innova as well, from the airport or from railway station wherever she's coming. Well, so here I am driving the Hyundai Venue now, and this car that I'm driving at the moment is with the 1.8 turbocharged petrol engine. You can also of course choose a diesel 1.5, and you can also choose a 1.2, which is a base petrol. But let's talk about this car today that I'm driving, and let's focus on this engine. Now the ride comfort across the range, whichever engine and gearbox you choose, is quite good. In fact, it's very good, and you'll just enjoy the smooth ride. It doesn't get affected too much by any kind of road undulations, and even at faster speeds, if you're driving up to 110, 120 kph, it remains relatively stable and does offer you a good amount of confidence. So in that department also, it is quite a good package. What you'll also appreciate about this car is of course the fact that the steering wheel is very light, and a light steering wheel basically means that people who drive a lot in the city will never feel hassled at all. They'll always enjoy the driving experience because they won't feel tired at the end of a long day. And these are things which a lot of other YouTubers will not tell you, because they'll say that the steering wheel should have been more dynamic, it should have offered you a little more feel, a little more feedback. But to be honest, buyers who are buying these cars don't want heavy steering wheels. They want light steering wheels, and they want steering wheels which will not tire them out at the end of a long journey. So in that sense, I think Hyundai's got the pie market and the audience that they have completely spot on. What you'll also enjoy about this car is the excellent visibility. Visibility all across is good. The front visibility is very good. You can see the edges of the bonnet line. The visibility from the side view mirrors is quite good, and even the visibility from the middle mirror is quite good. Now, the little bit of that beep which you heard was because I was in the wrong gear, and the gears, the car was telling me to shift up a gear or shift down a gear actually. So that's why you heard the beep over there, and that's exactly why the IMT technology is the best in the business. Now, what I like about this technology is the fact that there's no clutch, but of course you can change gears yourself, and this is something which a lot of people who don't want a full automatic will appreciate, and of course even people who are driving a manual car will appreciate because they don't want to use the clutch but want to change gears. So that is something which a lot of you who are buying their first car, or maybe just upgrading from a hatchback, will enjoy about this car. Now, 1.8 turbocharged engine. We've driven this engine before on multiple occasions. A fantastic engine, very smooth, unlike a lot of other 3 cylinders which tend to become a little noisy and a little boomy. This one is really smooth, offers you very good amount of refinement, and when you're cruising on the highway, because you get 6-speed gearbox, the flexibility of the engine is also greatly enhanced. When you're cruising on the highway doing maybe 90 to 100 kph, the engine is spinning only at a relatively low 2200, 2300 rpm, and that's a big reason why you'll enjoy the extra 6th gear on this car. The other thing that you'll enjoy, as I said, is ride comfort, and you'll also enjoy the punchy motor because it's a very punchy engine. You'll really enjoy the punchiness of this engine. It revs up all the way to its red line, and that's something which a lot of buyers will really enjoy about this car. Anyways, I don't really find any major issues with this package. The dynamics are good, the chassis balance is good. Well, so now I'm driving the Maruti Suzuki Fronx, and today I'm driving the Booster Jet. Yes, I'm driving the Booster Jet, which a lot of people are keen to know how it performs, because we've already seen the performance of the 1.2 on the Baleno. So this one is a new engine. I mean, it's been there on the Baleno RS, but this one feels completely different to that engine because it's refined, it's very quiet, and even when you drive it hard, it doesn't vibrate, it doesn't trouble you inside. So Maruti engineers have done a fantastic job with the packaging of this engine and bolting it on to this car. It really does feel very good and supremely refined. What you'll also like about the car is the fact that when you're driving it up the hills, like we have been driving it around today within the city limits and on tight and twisty Goa roads, even then this car feels quite good and very agile. The suspension setup definitely works very well on this car, and yes, you might say that how is it different to the Baleno? There's a big difference. The suspension on this car has been stiffened up quite a bit. The suspension components are different, so that also makes a big difference, because remember, this car is heavier than the Baleno by about 75 kilos. So definitely that stiffened up suspension works in its favor, especially if you're a highway person. If you're driving on the highway, you're doing speeds in excess of 100 kph, you'll definitely enjoy the overall driving experience of this car. On the highway, it feels very stable, it feels very reassuring, and definitely offers you a sense of confidence which you won't really get on some other car at this price point if you go over 100 kph. What you'll also like is the fact that the gearbox, the manual version, works very well. It's typical Maruti Suzuki gearbox. The throws are very short, the clutch action is nice and light, and that combined with the steering wheel is also something quite good. Now, the steering wheel is much different to the one on the Baleno, and the reason for that, of course, is that this steering wheel has a lot more weight in it. Yes, it feels a lot more weightier, and definitely that's something which a lot of people will appreciate, because this car just feels a lot more confidence inspiring, especially when you're pushing around bends and corners, because it does have very good dynamics. And of course, as I said, because the suspension has been stiffened up, if you push into corners, there's very limited body roll. It's always under control, and unlike the Baleno, which tends to dive around a bit when you really brake hard and push in corners, this one feels much more agile and definitely feels a lot more sure-footed than the Baleno. So yes, we shouldn't really compare with the Baleno because it's a different car. The platform is the same, but since it's the same platform, then there are going to be some comparisons being made with that very successful car. What you'll also like is the fact that, as I said, the engine doesn't really make a noise. Yes, it isn't as responsive in the lower end of its power band because it's turbo, So around 1400, 1500 RPM, it feels a little lethargic and a little lackluster in terms of performance. But once you cross that RPM figure, once you go to about 1500 RPM, this engine becomes really very responsive. The part delivery is very crispy, and once you rev it up all the way up to 4,500, 5,000 RPM, it just delivers very good power. And even though the red line is 6,000, I will not take it all the way to 6,000 because then it becomes a little fuzzy. But normally people don't drive like that. People drive within 2,000 to 3,500 RPM mostly, and in those RPM figures in that bracket, it really does offer you very punchy performance. The overall fuel efficiency is claimed to be about 21 for the turbo and about 24 plus for the 1.2. So I believe those figures because Maruti Suzuki, whenever they give out figures, the actual on-road performance is very similar, comes very close to those figures. The only big issue I have with this car is that side view mirrors are really tiny and small, and I think Maruti Suzuki engineers should change them and give you bigger ones and better ones, because they're just the same ones as the Baleno, and they don't really offer you very good depth of field. So you have to look around like this, move your neck around, move your body around to see and be doubly sure that there isn't somebody behind you. So that's the only issue, and I think that they should have changed on this car. But other than that, as I said, as package, I think they've done a very good job.